Good morning and happy Easter. It is still Easter Monday, so I've got some time. And having played with a really nice group on Saturday, the Quickstart for Coriolis, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of an insight. Previously, I've made a video on how to set up Alchemy for, or how I set up Alchemy, I should say, for this game. And after making that video, or while I was making that video, I think somebody said to me in the comments, did you know there's a Foundry system? And if you watch this channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Foundry. And actually Coriolis, the Third Horizon, was the first game I set up from scratch. That was before the official system was out. So there's some ancient videos where I show my own setup of Foundry Coriolis, keying in all the data, and I mean all the data, which took absolutely ages. And therefore, I was, of course, thinking, oh, I've got 24 hours. Slightly less, it was 20-something hours before I've got the game running. I wonder whether I can get it done on Foundry. And I did. And we ran it on Foundry, and I think it was better for it because it allowed me to do what I want to do and how I'm used to run my games. Now, one of the things in Alchemy is that the integration is really good of artwork. So, for example, if I just pop this one up for a moment, another one off, that's Alchemy in the background here, yeah. So Alchemy, basically, you've got the big artwork, you've got the animations, and these are animations I've taken from the official Coriolis system that is now available, the Third Horizon. And then I basically create my little scenes on the side and so on. I've got a dice roller and I've got a basic character sheet which looks like this. I'm just showing this to contrast, yeah? Not so. Foundry will be the mainstay of this video, you'll see it in a minute. So if I wanted to go into here, I could then, sorry, just messed this up. I could view character sheet with the stats, with the things I entered. So it was serviceable, but probably not great. Anyway, let me go back to what I actually want to make the video about, which is Foundry. And therefore, I'm going to click on here, poof, and back on here, and it's back to Foundry. So I was trying to replicate the same feeling in Foundry. So one of the nice things about Alchemy is all the assets that you get with the official systems there, you can export and you can use somewhere else. So I created this overlay, you can just about see the floaters, on Foundry. Bit resource intensive. One of my players was struggling a little bit. But basically that's what it looks like now. I've got my tokens here, I've got my players here, I've got a birdie token, and the bird, for example, is the group token. So character sheets. There is a chap called Miguel, and I don't know where he is, whether he's Spanish or from somewhere else Spanish-speaking, but he's definitely Spanish-speaking. And he created this system. It's version 0.4 already, or 4.1, I think, something like that. And I'm very impressed indeed, how quickly he turned that around. And it's not official, it's inofficial, but I think it's a really good start, and maybe he's doing this as a pitch to say, I should be the official. Don't know. So let's have a look at the character sheet. So same character sheet, you've got the style of the official one. So the coloring is the same. The fonts are very, very similar, if not the same. We've got the conditions here already. So you can take the conditions to get the -2. That's something I didn't manage to do. We've got talents. Now the talents, I have everything that's data in here, I key entered myself. So this is not something that comes with it. And that's okay, because it's copyrighted content, so it shouldn't be coming with it. Yeah, so I basically created this for this character. Sometimes I had a slight, it's probably too small for you to see. Let's make it slightly bigger. Key entry error, which was quite funny in the moment in the game, because here, for example, my carbine had a damage of 21. But you can add it, so you've got all the fields in here. It should have had, I think, a damage of 2 without looking it up. And Fusilier, I think, is actually only 1S, so it's very easily done, very easily fixed. And you can roll from the character sheet. So if you are at the overview here and you want to attack with one weapon, okay, I've got a hull axe. You can roll from here. You get a little pop-up with a strength, modifiers, gear, item, whatever. You can modify it here, very, very useful. Roll it, you get some nice looking dice, and you've got a good report on the side. So that works really nicely, doesn't it? Something as clear as that I couldn't, in the hurry that I was in anyway, I couldn't create on Alchemy. Talents, as I said, you've got them here. You can already see that they're configured with levels and bonus to agility, etc. If you roll from here, for example, sharpshooter, that doesn't yet integrate with the weapon. So you can either do weapon attack and you get all the damage and so on, or you get this one, but then you don't get the damage. So that's something that needs to be done. So far, this would have to be done manually. You can roll from here, but then, as I said, you don't get the weapon stats. Gear, again, I configured all of this. You've got the weapons, the armor. You've got even got some basic functionality here on saying, okay, it's at hand or it's equipped. Now, if you look at hand, I think the rules basically say at hand you can have 3 weapons at hand, but only 1 equipped. This logic here is flipped, so I might have to leave a comment on the GitHub for Miguel. So basically here it says you can have 1 at hand and 3 equipped. But yeah, minor point. You have them on you, or that's the one you use. I wish you could actually have more than 1, so you don't have to come to this tab to change weapons, but yeah, change weapon being a free action. But that works well. Encumbrance is being tracked, armor is being tracked, and you've got this is another thing. You have armor rating, and you've got blight protection. So armor is against damage, blight is against basically hard damage. And that's something, the armor rating works, the blight one you have to do manually. But yeah, you can just roll from here, and instead of doing 4d6, you can just take the first 2, or you can just go down to the little module I've got here called Dice Tray and roll 2d6 and just do it manually. That works as well. Oh, great roll. Great roll. So you can see it's, this works quite nicely. Supply is not entered as gear, but you have an extra writing on the side. I actually wonder encumbrance-wise. It's 4.5 if I take that to 0. Does that feature into the encumbrance? Yes, it does. Good. Then the other thing you get on here is the group token, the group sheet. So yeah, populated with the people who are in the group. You can see a little overview, who's in which role, who's doing the supply. Really useful. I created, that's actually a bit much. They should have 34. I created, or I used, you can see it here at the top, the group resources, I think it's called. Token module. And basically for that one, you can just basically configure your own ones. And I've got supply and I've got delve depth, so I can track it. What would be really cool here would be if I wanted to spend resources, that I could do that from here. And that it would either automatically pull it from the people's inventory, alternatively that it would let me choose who spends the resources, because that's currently mismatched. The resources are a group resource, or the supply, I should say, really, but they're carried by individuals and it matters for encumbrance. So yeah, a little bit there. So, but that's the mechanical bit, if you like. The pretty bit, I know that Foundry is good at mechanics. Now, I know that, and at managing, for example, handouts here, I've got the handouts lined up here. Yeah, all that is really good, and I can very easily just click on something like this picture and say show to players, and it pops up on their screen. Yeah, something Alchemy can't do. But what I always thought Alchemy is better at, really, is the presentation. And I've tried to replicate the look. And I think not only am I getting very close to here, to what Alchemy has done with the overlays, but I have much more flexibility. Here I can choose where to put the picture, I can move it up, I can move it down for the stream, for example, very important, whereas in Alchemy you're locked. Yeah, you have that one view and that's locked. You can't easily scroll around. I have also created lots of different things. These are just scenes, so I don't think they're very spoilery. This is all Midjourney stuff, but basically I've done the same in Alchemy. So I've got a canteen here, I've got a loading bay office, which I quite like, sort of Blade Runner-ish, and then I've got the artwork from the actual Quickstart in it, the token. NPC sheet is new, that has only just been released in this Foundry module, but you have one. Yeah. I've got the observatory, for example, and you can see I use the overlays just to make it look prettier. So even though I'm a fan of Alchemy, don't get me wrong, I'm just thinking that the difference it makes, yeah, is probably not worth going without a supported rule set, if that makes sense. So I'd rather have a supported character sheet and add the pretty bits here than going the other way, having the pretty bits, but having to do the character sheet myself. That's what I'm trying to get to say here. Rules references, for example, really easy to do. You have to structure. Of course, I can do the same in the other one, but this is much easier to just flick through or search through and have it within game, not in an extra tab. And I've put the whole of the scenario in here. So I've got my box sets, I've got my integrations with the handouts, I've got portraits at the right moment. So this works really nicely, actually. And I never felt, or hardly ever felt, that the system was getting in the way of me telling the story. Yeah, I like this bird picture. Do you like this bird picture? I think it's really cool. We haven't actually heard what sort of birds they can be, whether one crew might have an albatross or flamingo or duck. Yeah, I'm still waiting for somebody to call it Coriolis the Great Duck. Today is the 1st of April, so maybe there's an official announcement already out saying ducks are coming to this. Unfortunately, a funny 1st of April joke today. They've got a horrible layout with Comic Sans and stuff and said, this is our new premium layout and going to cost you $100 a year and so on to have this layout. But there's very clearly, if you ask me, in April's Fools. So I also created the roll tables in here. And again, that's something, if you have a character sheet, let's just go Jeremiah for a moment. And somebody creates a crit. Yeah, he suffers a crit. I can go to the table here, critical injury. I can roll it from here. This is all hand entered. There's a couple of bugs on there as well. You then see in the chat what it is. A bit hard to read. Broken neck. Oh, that's not good. But if you wanted to make him suffer this broken neck, you just put it across and you have in the overview now the critical injury. Yeah, so again, that's something you could not easily do on Alchemy. So really like this. It doesn't automatically roll the recovery. I tried to put the normal shortcut in for rolling it, but yeah, not a big deal. With a broken neck, it's not great. So, yeah, have you got any questions? Oh yes, the card initiative, of course, works in here. Yeah, with the Year Zero engine combat module, you can use the card initiative, including swapping initiative and doubling initiative for ferocity for beast. If I have a beast here, I only have one really, which is I actually have the Black Toad Infiltrator, but I think, yeah, I made them as a character, not as an NPC. So the Blight Crawler looks like this. Reduced character sheet, which is not a big deal. Yeah, works nicely, but I need a way of integrating here the attack table. So I tried it with a shortcut link, doesn't work, but I configured the attack table. So I can use it from here, Blight Crawler attack. I'll just roll it, and then you get the effects. Yeah. Very nice. But I have to roll the 8 dice myself. Unless I configure that as an attack on here. Can I? How would I do that? I don't see attacks on here. I guess it's to come. Remember, this is only about 4 days old, this system. And for that, it's very, very good. Yeah, so if you want to know more, then put something in the comment. I would say that, as I said, it was really good fun playing it like this. And it worked very well. I didn't feel like I was underrepresenting anything, especially with the artwork, like down here, for example, this artwork, or maybe, which one was cool? This one was cool. I like this one. The overlays, that was really evocative. Or this one, with a person sitting in front of it. It came together really nicely. And I'm going to run this again on Foundry on this coming Saturday, probably as a one-shot again. Maybe we're splitting into 2 sessions because it was a bit tight. So let me briefly talk about what the game was like, maybe. Looking at the split of time, we played just under 4 hours, the whole thing. The first hour was basically getting onto the base and talking to people. We then had the start of the delve. So getting to the delve and getting down to the lowest level probably took another hour. Then on the lowest level, without spoiling too much, going through the different rooms, working out what to do, exploring them probably took another hour. Then we had to fight at the end, which took about half an hour. And then we had half an hour of finishing. So that's the 4 hours. It was a bit squeezed. I think we could have spent more time on the base. We could have spent a bit more time exploring the delve. And the way I've done the delve on here is like this. So I created a scene. Yeah, just a normal scene here on the side. And then if you scroll across, you get the delve map. This could be slightly spoilery. So if you don't want to see it, look away. I made it a bit clearer what the levels are, basically. Because the thing is that if you look at if I zoom in a bit, if you see here, you've got these numbers. Yeah, so this is 2A, 3A. For me, that really seems to indicate, that's one delve level down. So 2 is one level. Yeah, one marker. But then you look at the updated handout from the Quickstart 1.1, and it says one of the smaller squares is 1. So that actually confused my players a bit, because I thought one level is from 2A to 3A. So I made these little extra numbers next to it, just to make sure that they can see how deep they get. And this bit of the game, basically I then had the crew descending, making progress, so we could always see how far they had got. What I was struggling with a little bit, this actually took a lot of dice rolls to get anywhere. And especially in the early bit, yes, you have events after every dice roll, but making this narratively interesting was a bit hard until you got to a room. So this abstraction of saying we're not doing a full dungeon crawl where every single step needs to be explored works, but at the same time it gets in the way a little bit of the narration. So I probably have to work on myself a little bit as GM to make that more interesting. Yeah, but overall this worked quite nicely. The descent, what I struggle with rules-wise a little bit is once you have these almost horizontal corridors. So I'm at this level and I want to get to this, so I need to descend one further level, I guess. But then getting from here, I'm pinging, back around the corner and to this level, mechanically doesn't take any time. That's how I read it. Yeah. So it is not that I have to roll dice for descending, because I'm not descending, I'm ascending a little bit, which is not die, but can take supply. But what am I going up? 1 and down 1, so plus minus 0. So that was a bit unclear for me how I should handle this. And the same thing down here. So if I descend from one level, I go from where I'm now, yeah, from there to there. So that all these 3 squares basically are one step down. You can argue, yeah, of course that makes sense. Yeah, going down a slight slope is much easier than going down a vertical shaft. So it can be quicker. Why not? And the other question was, okay, we've got blight levels. These are blight levels here, the 2. That's great. But once we're in this structure down here, there are no blight levels indicated. So does that mean there is none? Or should I just assume everything down here is 2? That was a bit unclear as well. I gave them a rest here. I gave them a chance to say this bit here is blight free, the antechamber. Once we got to that bottom, I then switched approaches a little bit and just gave them a handout map for the rest. Where is it gone? Handout map, handouts. Give them this map here so they could refer to it and basically arrive at here, number 3B, I think it is. But yeah, don't want to spoil it too much. Keep a little bit of excitement, just a little bit. So the delve worked, but it was a little bit draggy down here. Going from room to room felt a little bit more like a dungeon crawl. And managing the supply was, in that case, actually much easier, a bit more interesting to say, well, you're spending time exploring, that's a supply. There was a fight, that's another supply. That worked quite well. So that they were actually getting a little bit nervous about the supplies being enough to go back up. And that mechanic worked at that point. But going down the long delve initially, as I said, that didn't work so well. So, yeah, overall, as I said, very pleased with how the game went. I'm looking forward to running it again. I might have to remove some of these overlays just for performance reasons. Because, as I said, we have one player who really was struggling. And whenever we were in a scene with another motion overlay over the normal map, her voice would break up because her computer couldn't cope. So, I think that's probably me talking enough. I've done the initiative, talked about that. I talked about the crit injury, crit despair, crit blight tables that I created. with items to pull on. Basically, I made items of all these and populated them onto the sheet. So if you look here, my items, you've got all the injuries as items. You've got the gear that I felt necessary as items. Got the talents, including some NPC talents. I've got the weapons. Oh, I wanted to check. Have I set it up correctly here? Yes, I have. The carbine. Yeah, it's not 21. Good. Good. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Grappling gun. The grappling gun, didn't put that on here, but it gives you an advantage of climbing. Now, does delving count as climbing? There's a rules question. Because it feels like it should. But should you get a bonus for your exploration, for the delving role, because you have a grappling gun? And what role does, other than fluff, what role does a rope play? Yeah, you've got 4 markers worth of rope. Do you need it to go down? Is it optional? Is it only for bridging certain bits? Because it doesn't come into the scenario at all. Yeah, right. I think that's enough. As I said, if you want to know more comparatively between this and Alchemy, or just compare, contrast a bit more, or about how the game went, or how I run a particular mechanic, then please do ask in the comments. I always read them, and I've got a few days of my holiday left, so I can definitely make a couple more videos to explore and explain. But for now, thank you very much for watching. If you are that way inclined, I'm still running a little bit of the charity in this stream. Actually, we got 30 euros together for the March for Kids charity. It's now April, but I would love to finish the 50. So if anybody feels like they want to donate something in the Twitch stream, maybe you want to do that while we are live on air, playing this game Saturday at 7 o'clock UK time. I've got 4 players lined up from all over the world, ranging from Egypt all the way to Canada, with a couple of other people in the UK. And it should be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to it and seeing whether I can improve on my running of this in the next game. If you want to watch the German videos, go to my German channel. Yeah, it's not linked here, but I can link it, but you probably know it anyway. Or you can still catch it on Twitch, and the Twitch thing is down there somewhere. So, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching, and take care, everybody. And have I actually configured my end screen correctly? I didn't check it. Have I? Have I? Yeah, it fits. Good. There's still the charity link as well if you want to donate straight to the charity rather than via Twitch. I hope this was all loud enough and good to hear, and somebody just popped on, but I'm afraid you just caught the end of it.